What is up, people? Welcome back to the Cup Chasers. Welcome back to the channel for a brand new segment. I'm going to be doing some tips and predictions for the Premier League, and I might have a hidden gem elsewhere in Europe as well. But first, let's go ahead and get the likes up on the video. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thanks for being here. And let's get right into it. I do want to say at the outset of this one that I am making predictions. I'm giving tips on where to place your loot. But my particular strategy for what to do with that information is not necessarily what you might want. For example, I won a 4-match parlay today across the Europa League and Conference League. So I will say I think that Chelsea will win. I think that Real Betis will win. I also believe that Real Sociedad will win, and I think that Fiorentina will win. Now, I put all of those together into one bet. You obviously are free to do whatever you like. So don't necessarily do exactly, set it up exactly how I say or how I have set my own bets up. But I will give tips on the individual matches and predictions on individual things, and you can organize them however you see fit. That being said, I will keep track of my progress for the channel. So without further ado, and no, it's not because I'm a gooner, it's simply because it's the first game on the list. We're going to take a look at the Arsenal hosting Everton, the Emirates Stadium. My knee-jerk obviously is the money line Arsenal bet. My gut feeling is that we're going to win 2-3-0, something like that. Everton have failed to score in half of their Premier League games this season, and they have not scored away from home in the last 3 games. Arsenal are unbeaten in 7 games since the Inter Milan game, 3 shutouts at the Emirates this season in the Premier League, 3 in the Champions League. So I definitely think we're playing good defense. I think especially if Miles Lewis-Skelly starts, he'll be comfortable back there with Kivior, even if Gabriel doesn't come back in. I think we are good for a shutout versus Everton. We stifle teams. I bet that Monaco would score, and I think that was a dumb bet because I realize how stifling we've been playing. I think we'll do the same against Everton. I don't think they're going to offer much. I'm not sure if Everton will look at the way Monaco played against us as far as the corner kick strategy. So I'm going to stay away from the corner bet, even though it might be on. There's probably going to be a fair few of them. Of course, Saka to score anytime is on, but the lineup for Arsenal is a bit up in the air. So the shots and on-target shots are kind of, out for this one as well for me. So I think the safest bet is just the money line Arsenal and Arsenal to get the shutout. So if you want to do the single game parlay, I would do the money line and no on both teams to score. It will be tough to get positive odds on this game as it's such a one-sided affair on paper. And if you're feeling really froggy, you can do no on both teams to score and Saka to score any time. But yeah, so that's the Arsenal-Everton game. All of those are based on a 3-0 victory, 2-3-0 victory for me. So, all right, we'll move right along here to Liverpool hosting Fulham. Fulham have not been kept off the score sheet since the opening day of the league. They've only lost 2 away games all year, both in Manchester. They're probably not going to have enough to beat Liverpool at Anfield, though. I do expect the game to be kind of back and forth, basketball style. Pool seem to have vertigo at the moment as they're looking more and more like a Klopp side when teams decide to high press and play fast against them, which I expect Fulham to, yes, give Liverpool the ball, but I also expect them to press really well as well. So it could be a fast-paced back and forth game. I'm thinking that both teams are going to score in this game. Iwobi's been playing well. Smith Rowe's been playing well. Nelson will come back in. They'll look to get in amongst the goals. I think the safest bet would be Pool not to lose. So Pool double chance is going to be the safest bet. I think Salah to rack up goals or assists is going to be a good bet. I definitely have at least 2 shots, so that's a good one. Iwobi and Smith Rowe could definitely have shots as well. So 1 shot for Iwobi and 2 shots is positive odds. So it'd be good to put them together. So a good single game parlay will be both teams to score, Mo Salah with 3+ shots, and Iwobi with 2+ shots. All right, moving on to Newcastle versus Leicester City. The Foxes are not great away from home, only managing 1 win, and that was at Southampton. Of course, that was also before Ruud van Nistelrooy. But I think St. James away is a bit too soon for the former Man U star. The only place that Foxes have not scored is at Old Trafford, coincidentally. Honestly, my knee jerk would be to leave this one alone because of how new Ruud is and how difficult it will be to predict. Also, Newcastle are kind of inconsistent. They really brought the energy versus Poole, but then lost 2-0 to West Ham. I'm not sure exactly which Newcastle will show up. So we'll probably stay away from the money line. But if you are adventurous, I would say Newcastle are the more likely to win the game. I do think that this could be a game with goals, both teams to score. Isak's going to rack up shots and GA. Gordon will probably have some shots. If you're looking for some props, Joe Linton and Guimaraes to make fouls a bunch is always a lock in the Newcastle games. And then Jamie Vardy, anytime goal scorer, is obviously never a horrible bet in the Newcastle-Leicester game. All that to say, I think my single game parlay here would be Newcastle money line and both teams to score. So up next, Wolves versus Ipswich. Wolves are trash right now, and Ipswich can't really see their games out. They'll get a lead and then concede, or they'll concede early and they'll really lay the pressure on, and then maybe even get an equalizer and then lose it late. It's been a real tough season for them. I definitely think there will be goals. This is a huge relegation 6-pointer for these two teams. I don't think that the game will have a huge amount of quality, but I do think that there will be some attacking impetus. There will be some goals in this game. Cunha to get shots and GA is a good bet. I'm leaving the money line alone because this one is tough. It could go either way. I definitely think Liam Delap will get in amongst the shots. And Hutchinson, I think Amari Hutchinson is his name, for the Tractor Boys he's been getting in and around the goals as well. So I think those two to get some shots in, they'll definitely have the most for Ipswich, as they have by far all season long. So I think both teams to score is the safest bet again here. I would say my single game parlay, it would be both teams to score, Cunha to have a shot on target, and Delap or Hutchinson to have a shot on target, or 2 shots in general from one of those or both of them, depending on how froggy you are feeling. Alrighty. Nottingham Forest hosting Aston Villa. This is a spicy fixture. There's not going to be much between the two, honestly. I think that the money line is out for me. I think that Forest could definitely win this. I think that Villa could, off the back of some good John Duran form, come through and definitely get a victory as well. The bookies seem to agree, as a win for either team is actually positive odds at the time of this recording. Like I say, John Duran is on fire. Absolutely on fire. And he's definitely going to have some shots, even if he comes in as a substitute. And maybe even anytime goal scorer is a good bet. He might get the start again. What a goal. What a goal in the Champions League. My man is killing it. So he's definitely going to get some shots and some GA, I would imagine. Watkins, also with some shots, is a good bet. Chris Wood to have a couple of shots is definitely going to be a good bet. And there are good odds on any of those to score at any time. John McGinn will definitely get in and amongst the shots as well. Morgan Rogers will be raining some in. Tielemans likes to take shots. I'm not confident that both teams will score in this game. So I'm going to leave that alone. A lot of times I would stay away from something like this in general. But if I was going to put something down on this one, I would do a single game parlay. We're doing all shots. Chris Wood, 1+ shot on target. Morgan Rogers, 2+ shots. Ollie Watkins, 1+ shot on target. Yuri Tielemans, 1+ shot. And that will get you a decent wager there, and that would be the one that I would go with. All right, next up, we got Brighton versus Crystal Palace. Palace are dreadful. Only Southampton have scored less, and they've only beaten Ipswich away from home. And I will say, though, that they haven't conceded more than twice at any point in the league this year. And Brighton are kind of on so-so form. They were hanging around in fourth place for a minute. Couple of reverses, couple of drop points, and they're back down a ways. But Welbeck and João Pedro are doing really good this season. So only Ipswich have failed to score at the Amex this season. I am thinking Brighton 2-1, but not confident enough to lock in both teams to score. Although I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be too upset with that. That's not the worst wager one can make. My gut is telling me that Brighton will win this game, but not necessarily that Crystal Palace will score. I think Pedro, Welbeck, Eberechi Eze, and Mateta to be in amongst the shots in the GA are good bets. I'd probably say Pedro or Welbeck for an anytime goal scorer. Mateta's a little bit farther out. Eze a little bit. He's not really been important, hugely important like you would expect since Elise's left, really. And I haven't seen it from him this season, but I do think he might have a shot or two in him. I think a Brighton double chance here, not to lose, would be your safest bet. But the single game parlay that I would make would be both teams to score and the Brighton money line bet. Alrighty, next up, it's the game of the weekend, the big one in Manchester. Of course, it's the Manchester Derby. And City are definitely struggling against these, kind of low block, mid block counterattacking teams. I think that Amorim is going to approach this game similarly to the game against Arsenal, where they will sacrifice a lot of the ball. They're going to sacrifice a lot of the territory along the wings so that the wing backs will be back to help out in defense. Probably even the inside forwards that they play, the Garnachos and the Mounts, will be playing a lot more defense like they did against Arsenal. The lineups are kind of all over the place as well. So the shots bets are kind of iffy. Now, when I originally did my notes for this, I, was kind of thinking that this would be a low-scoring game, not a lot going on, but both teams are looking shaky. Victoria Pleasant just had 15 shots against Manchester United. So this could actually get up there a little bit. I said the under 3.5 looks juicy, but no, I don't know. Obviously, Haaland to score anytime is probably going to be a good bet because, Gvardiol has 3. Haaland's on 13. Gvardiol's closest to him. So Haaland, if anyone's going to score for a City, it's probably going to be Erling Haaland. I think the safest bet here would be Man City not to lose. So we're doing a double chance for Manchester City. Originally felt like a 1-1. It might be a 2-2. It could be a 3-3. Who knows? I think I might stay away from the over-under on this one. Just some of the stuff I've heard today, and it's definitely that Europa League result for Manchester United. Kind of, if you give 15 shots to City, I feel like Haaland's going to score 1, 2, So I think that this actually could be exactly the opposite. It could go back and forth and be a high-scoring kind of a basketball match, but I think it's there for either team to make. So we're definitely going to stay away from the money line. If you do want to bet the money line, I would lean Manchester City, but I'm not going to. I have a feeling that. My notes do say that City have only kept 1 clean sheet since they've lost to Spurs in this 10-game run where they've only won one game. That was the game that they kept a clean sheet, the game where they beat Forest. And Forest probably gave them too much respect. But also, United have been shut out 5 times this season, which is kind of why I was saying, so I'm really back and forth on this one. I think both teams to score is not a bad bet. I'd probably stick with City double chance. I might just stay away from this one, to be honest. Probably wouldn't build a parlay. I'd rather just pick one thing and go with it. I will say, though, if you do the single game parlay of under 3.5 and both teams to score, you're getting close to 3-1 at the time of this recording. So if you're feeling froggy, you could go for that. But I'm thinking Man City double chance is probably the safest bet in this one. It's definitely the most even Manchester derby on paper going into it, on form and everything this season that we've seen in a while. So definitely kind of up in the air. Not sure exactly where to go with that one. But up next, the Blues flying high versus the Bees at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea have won 6 games in their last 8. Make that. Nope, actually, I took my notes expecting them to win versus Astana today, and they did that. So 6 wins in their last 8. The last loss was at Anfield. They scored 31 goals in that time, 6 wins in a row. Definitely hard to pick the lineup, as it will be anything like what they played today, obviously. So we're going to stick, probably going to leave the player props on the Chelsea side alone. Mbeumo and Wissa, however, might be worth some shots. So we might get something on that. All 6 of the Bees' losses this season have been away from home. But Brentford are in fantastic form. And they've only not scored twice, both times in Liverpool. Both teams to score is a lock in this game. Locked on. I think Chelsea money line and the over 3.5 is probably a good single game parlay. Not sure about the over, but both teams are scoring lots of goals. Bees have been bad against defensively away from home. Chelsea have been scoring mad goals, but haven't been amazing, incredible defensively, which is why they're not in first. Obviously, close enough. They have been playing decently, but so too has Wissa and Mbeumo and co. So I think both teams to score is a lock. Palmer to score is the only one with negative odds. So expect Palmer to score is kind of what the bookies are saying. Mbeumo to score at plus 320 is a good bet for the risk takers out there. He does have 9 goals and 2 assists this season. Absolutely on fire. But I think, if you're feeling really froggy, the single game parlay of both teams to score, Chelsea money line and over 3.5 is probably going to be cool. I would stick to Chelsea money line, and over 3.5 is probably where my money is going to go. All right, up next, Southampton versus the Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs are an absolute nightmare to predict, but Saints are trash and give up lots of goals. They should have conceded a lot more versus Aston Villa. Now, case in point on predicting Spurs, they drew at Rangers today in the Europa League. I'll have to go look at those highlights, I guess. Maybe the Ibrox got up against Ange because he's, former Celtic manager or whatever. But come on, what are they doing? Spurs are shambles. You never know what's going to happen. I would say, it's almost take your pick on who's going to have shots and shots on target. Solanke, Madison, Son, Kulu, all in there to get shots, goals, and assists. It could be anyone. So I would probably stay away from player props on this one. I'm thinking there's going to be goals. I'm thinking there's going to be lots of goals. Spurs could give one up, but I do think they'll score a lot of goals. Moneyline and Spurs over 3.5 is probably safe. Over 2.5 if you're feeling a little bit weird about that, because I definitely think there's going to be 3 goals. I definitely think there's going to be 4 goals. But there is an outside chance that Southampton will nick a goal. We've seen at times some decent play on the break. But the safest bet is the money line for Spurs. perhaps the over, just because Saints playing out from the back is just the craziest thing ever, and Spurs high press will absolutely rip them apart. I'm thinking it's gonna be 4-1 Spurs, maybe 3-1 Spurs. So yeah, I think money line Spurs and 3.5 is a good single game parlay for this one. And last but not least, for the Premier League, Bournemouth hosting West Ham United. Right off the bat, Bournemouth are going to win this game. That's my knee-jerk. Bournemouth money line is a good bet. The personnel might change by Monday based on different things. I think that Kudus and Bowen are the ones who are going to have the shots for West Ham. They're going to be given the most attacking impetus. So I definitely think those could be on. Semenyo and Evan Nielsen will be the same on the other side. I definitely think it could be a lower scoring game, like maybe a 2-0 to Bournemouth, maybe a 1-0 to Bournemouth. They have not really been ripping teams up as far as on the score sheet. They've kind of missed a lot of chances, which is why I think the shots bet is on. But I do think this will be some back and forth action. We're probably going to stay away from that over-under on this game. The Cherries counter versus West Ham not being able to break them down is what we're kind of looking at. Cherries will probably give them the ball, be comfortable with being out of possession and just ripping them apart on the break. West Ham have only been shut out away from home one time this season, and the away win to Newcastle is an absolute aberration that still has me mystified to this day. West Ham have only won away from home twice, whereas the Cherries are absolutely on fire down on the coast. I think the best bet is going to be your Cherries money line. Both teams' score is likely as well. I would say the single game parlay, if you're feeling super froggy, would be Semenyo, Bowen, Kudus, Evan Nielsen shots combined with a Cherries money line. In any of those combinations, I think that I would go with Semenyo and Evan Nielsen to have 2, Bowen to have 2. Kudus may not have as many coming off the left-hand side there, but if all of them got 2 shots, I wouldn't be surprised. So those definitely go into a single game parlay if you're looking to do that. But safest bet here is the Cherries are going to win the game for me. The money line there in that one. There are some other games going on around Europe this weekend. Normally I do like a good Friday bet, but all of the matchups I looked at are pretty close matchups. So we're going to skip ahead to Saturday. I think that Madrid are going to win. So the Madrid money line is probably a safe bet. I will say that Bochum are terrible. They're one of the worst teams in Germany, winless in the league. But I don't know enough about Union Berlin to lock in that money line. But if you're feeling froggy, it's good to bet against winless teams. It's generally a good idea. Of course, when you're looking at Germany, you're going to look at who Bayern Munich is playing. They're at Mainz, and it's a maybe because you expect Bayern to win. But Mainz have given some teams that I expected to beat them at home a lot of trouble this season, so I would stay away from that. But, Bayern are always a good bet. Now to Italy on Saturday. I do expect Atalanta, Napoli, and Juventus to all win. Juve is the most likely. Juve for sure against Genoa at home. I think Juve is playing Venezia. Either way, they should win. Napoli is going to be tough away to Udinese. They should win the game, but Udinese are no slouches at home. That one could be a draw, so I might stay away from that. They'll have it toughest as far as these three. And Atalanta should win, but that is also going to be a difficult game. They're away from home. But I think the parlay there would be moneyline Atalanta and Juve to get the victories is probably where I would go with that one. The French league matchups are way too close on Saturday, so I'm skipping those. In Holland, PSV and Feyenoord are locks. And Walwick is the worst team in the league, so they'll probably lose as well. You could do a moneyline parlay of PSV, Feyenoord, and Fortuna Sittard to beat Walwick. There is probably a good bet. Despite a poor run recently for Sporting Lisbon, I do expect them to handle business as well in the Portuguese league. So you could probably do some money line parlays along those lines. And we'll move ahead to Sunday. Atletico Madrid should be beating Getafe at home, but their league form has been a bit odd this season. It's definitely had an uptick recently. They're definitely on a good run at the moment. So it's probably a safe bet. Money line Atletico. And Barcelona, of course, should smash Leganes. I will say that I did say that Real Madrid should smash Leganes, and that didn't happen. But, Barca definitely should be beating Leganes. So the money line parlay there, Atletico and Barcelona. Now we're back to Germany. Heidenheim are terrible, but Stuttgart are awesome either. I definitely think Stuttgart could win the game, but it's away from home and it's going to be tough. Dortmund's league form has been weird as well, but they should handle Hoffenheim. I'm probably going to stay away from these two games on Sunday in Germany, but if you're feeling froggy, the parlay for Stuttgart and Dortmund is not a bad bet. Now back to Italy. AC Milan should beat Genoa. Yeah, okay, my notes. That means that Juve will be playing Venezia the day before. AC Milan should beat Genoa, although Genoa can be tough to break down, and AC Milan are not exactly free-flowing scorers. They kind of left it way late in the Champions League. Help me win a four-way parlay earlier in the week. I think Fiorentina having a fantastic season, got a 7-0 win today. But Bologna are tough at home, very, very tough at home. You might do a money line parlay for Fiorentina and AC Milan, but I'm going to stay away because I've watched a couple of games for both Bologna and Genoa, and they've caused some real problems for different teams this season. Now, France does have some really good matchups this weekend, so in general, probably going to stay away. But if you're feeling super froggy, Brest should beat Nantes, and Paris should beat Lyon. Technically, should beat Lyon. That's going to be a fantastic game, by the way. Paris and Lyon. That should be very entertaining. So you could do a money line parlay with PSG and Brest, but that is a long shot. In Holland, Utrecht and Twente will most likely win, but they'll be tough games. Ajax is on all day. They're definitely going to win. So the moneyline parlay there would be Ajax, Utrecht, and Twente, or any combination of those three. And then in Portugal, Benfica and Santa Clara are looking definitely likely as well. I would say Benfica obviously look a bit more likely. Santa Clara are playing against a very poor team, which is why I've said the money line on both of those. No, also there are a couple of games on Monday. Porto should win, but they've been a bit weird this season as well, not on their best run. And in Turkey, Galatasaray and Besiktas will probably win on Monday as well. Doing really good in the league, playing against some not so great teams. So if you're feeling really froggy, you can look at those as well. Well, all right, folks, that's it for this first predictions and tips video. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. We're going to keep them coming. Like I said in the beginning, you don't have to organize your wagers the same way I do. Obviously, you're free to do those however you want. Obviously, free to use my information and tips however you should see fit. And of course, if I get them wrong, don't come for me. Because I'm not perfect. I will have my tracker going that I started at the beginning of this Champions League week available to see if you're interested. And if you've made it this far, of course, get the likes up on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Of course, thanks for being here and thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.